Why Jesus in politics? Proverbs 13:22 says that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children. And we tend to think of this verse in relationship to what? Finances, okay? A good man leaves an inheritance to his children financially. And while that is true and right, if a man's inheritance is merely financial, will that be a blessing or a curse to those children? Well, who knows? It could be both. When you look at generational legacy money, one generation works to earn it, the next generation enjoys it, the third generation wastes it, the fourth generation is destitute. That's typically how it goes. And so it takes work to build and pass on wealth as a blessing, because the love of money can destroy someone actually instead of blessing them. But when we think in terms of inheritance, we need to think beyond the categories of merely financial, because there are other ways to leave an inheritance or a legacy of blessing. For instance, my family has handed me a relational inheritance, and I'm living in and walking under the blessing and the anointing and the goodness of a relational inheritance that my grandparents on both sides of the family fought for. And my parents cultivated and have handed to me, and now I'm trying to walk in the power and the authority and the blessing of. I'm walking also under the blessing of the spiritual heritage that my grandparents and my parents left me. Now, many in Grace City Church, thanks be to God, here at the Family Capital of the World, are starting the work of building something that they can have to hand to their children that's a blessing and not a burden, because you're first generation Christian in your family. You have no generational inheritance above you of spiritual blessing or relational blessing. What's above you is brokenness and dysfunction. And by God's grace, you're starting a new lineage, a new line, a new legacy of blessing. Thanks be to God. May your tribe increase. And though you may not have a reference point to draw from for that richness of legacy, you've been grafted into the family of God, and you have all the resources you need in that family to equip you to leave an inheritance for your children. But we also need to think in terms of social inheritance, meaning society will be better or worse after you're dead because of how you lived, and your children will inherit that. So the question is, will our children receive a better or worse, a stronger or weaker, a more righteous or unrighteous social inheritance from you in relationship to how you've lived? This is why we have to think more critically about Jesus and politics, because politics without Jesus guarantees your children will not receive a social inheritance of blessing. Hey everybody, Pastor Josh here. If you enjoyed that clip, you can check out the full sermon right here.